Hello and welcome to a look at Breach and Clear, but we're going to try and answer the question, should you buy this game? Should you? Well, let's start with the menu. So if we look at the menu, we have campaign, challenge mode, multiplayer and options. So in the options you've got your audio settings, you've then got your language, your resolution, full screen window, your shadow quality, lighting quality, terrain quality, anti-aliasing, SSO. So fairly simple, but yeah, it's got options menu. Controller bindings as well, PlayStation for your Xbox and for your keyboard and mouse, which is what I was using. So that's the menu. The game is an isometric shooter, a tactics-based isometric shooter where you control 4 people. Nothing world breaking or here. Your 4 people are a gunman, a big gunman, an explosives guy, and an intelligence officer. And the mechanics of the game based around this. So you've got 2 modes. You can either go tactics, which looks like this. So you can tell people to go places, or tell people to go cautiously to places. Or you can tell everyone to do one whole thing together. On top of that, they have also got specialist classes. So here I have Oscar Frost, who can provoke enemies, which will draw enemies to the soldier and provoke them. So that's a debuff, more susceptible to damage, and it's done with a cone. This guy is my explosive, so he throws a bomb, which does area of damage. Intelligence officer can pin down one enemy. Well, I've not found that very useful yet, because in a zombie world, generally it's not about one enemy. And suppression, which is sort of like a flashbang, and hitman, which is just a single target, a lot of damage. He's generally been my most useful so far. Stop a range of enemies. One guy's got through, just kill him. And you have cooldowns on these. You also have weapons, so you have their main weapons, which you can change and pick whatever weapons they want, and you've got the pistols as well. Got an infantry, so we got items, molotovs, flashbangs, signal flares. So they're all the damage ones, and of course we got energy, which is boosts, and adrenaline, which is boosts, health, med packs and defibrillators, which give you health. So the fight system. The fight system I've not found particularly interesting in the game. You sort of just try and find cover, pick a bottleneck, and just filter the zombies through that bottleneck. So here you see we'd have 1, 2 bottlenecks if there was enemies on the other side, and we would set up here and here. So if there was more enemies coming through here, I'd put the LMG and the assault rifle guy here, and I'd probably put the satchel expert here. If you want I mean, you can. There is variety. The light machine gun here and the assault rifle here to take down both channels slowly, and with the satchel guy here to pick off anyone that comes through, and with the sniper with some distance away watching the crossover. Reason why that doesn't really work is the satchel has a cooldown and it is very damaging. So essentially what you want to do is just throw that at one batch of enemies and then just cover the other area. Works a little bit like horde mode, where you'll be pinned into an area and you'll have wave after wave after wave after wave coming at you. Customization, always a part of a game nowadays. I was able to pick how my characters looked. So I was able to pick their faces. So I've gone for a McDonald's theme here. I'm not going to go further into that, otherwise we'll get hate messages about what a McDonald's theme is. And you can change their weapons around, so you can put different weapons on this guy. Weapons are just generally better than other weapons. There doesn't seem to be much given choice in what you're doing. and you've got a secondary weapon which has infinite ammo in it. All weapons have upgrade slots. As you can see here, this sniper rifle has 2. And if we find someone who's got mods already, as you can see, the mods, right, you can't see from this menu that the mods add perks. So while we're just running back to show the perks, this is the other mode, which is just a pretty generic isometric aim and shoot system. You hold down right to aim and left to shoot. I've struggled with this quite greatly because, well, I find that shooting at their feet hits a lot more than shooting at them, which caused a bit of an issue when you're in a bit of a panic because you really want to shoot at them, but you keep missing. Alright, so it was, who had all the mods? It was the LMG guy, wasn't it? There we go. Even though that really doesn't look like a light machine gun to me, that looks, the picture in that looks like an MP5. Just that. So as you see, if I take this off, I'll be going down, and it's quite a nice menu that shows you what it is. But overall, this menu here is very clunky with having to go back and see, alright, have I got an attachment for that? Alright, that's that. And just clicking through it like that way. I would rather just have a list of my soldiers, the weapons and the mods available, and a sort of switch around system. So almost like a drag and drop all in one menu rather than clicking back and forth, back and forth. The menus in this game are very, in my mind, tedious. And the weapon selection, I would prefer a more varied weapon selection, but there is a lot of weapons in the game by the looks of it, and they drop randomly. It revolves around a dungeon sort of system, it seems, with different levels, and the further levels you go down, the further it happens. Well, the further it happens, the further that you get your better weapons. Of course, the harder it gets. The game doesn't work very well for me because while the fight system is all there and the mechanics handle well, there's a bit of variety with the weapons. This doesn't seem to be a variety with what to take on what. Zombies just have a certain amount of damage, and you've got to take that amount of damage off them, whether you chip away slowly or whether you hit with the more harder weapons. So this could be quite a quick and easy turnaround for the developers to do, by putting in a bit more variety and just making that level of it just a bit more complicated. I would also prefer a more progression level system with things thought out, because with a tactics game, I want to be put into an area and go, okay, this is my area, I want to go there, and try and do this. With it being zombies, you know what they're going to do. They're just going to come short as the crow flies towards your men, which adds the tactic of the unknown, sort of more human players that you do meet occasionally that have more of a personality, more of an AI. They move around a lot less, and they don't always just run into you. So you can't just set up a roadblock and gun things down while you do whatever it is that you want to do. Well, that game is doing that for you. So for me, the level layout would have been much better in a progression system rather than this open world and dungeon system that they seem to have going on. The controls are fairly responsive. I have had some people bringing up that they feel that when in this mode it feels a bit clunky. It doesn't feel overly responsive for me, but not game breaking. I am running a much higher rig than you would generally expect people to be running. So I wouldn't expect for this sort of game to jug. I mean, the graphics look good enough. I mean, I can tell this is not a school bus, but a bus going to downtown. And these are my men. You shoot, you have bullets, and you have muscle flare. Fire looks realistic enough. Sometimes it's a bit hard to tell in cover whether you're in cover or you're just going to be shooting at the cover you're in. because the AI on your own players can sometimes just screw you over in that retrospect, but we'll come to that with the notes to the developer. Let's quickly show you a dungeon. So this is the fast travel system, so you find bus stops around town and then you can quick travel back to those places. Early in the game you're probably not going to want to do this if you do buy the game, because the easy fights are an easy way to level up your characters. We'll come to the leveling system once I've shown you a floor of the dungeon. So as you saw from the loading menu there, this looks like it has 5 floors. And as you can see from the map, mini map in the bottom right, it's just a bunch of corridors and rooms. So what you do is you open a room, kill whatever's inside, and doorways are very useful for this because you just stand on the other side of the doorway. There's a lot of mobs, they can't come through more than one at a time, and there's no reason people should be missing those sort of targets from that range. And you just hope that there's something loot worthy in the room that you're looking in. So there you go, here's a few more zombies. Let's all just stand on the outside of the room, and as they come to the door we'll mow them down. See, this is the problem with doing this sort of game in my mind with zombies, because they're even too stupid to use doors properly. The storyline, again, there's nothing wrong with the storyline. It's not wowing me. It's a generic, you've been dumped in a place you shouldn't have been because your helicopter got shot down, and now listen to all the locals moan at you as you have to solve all of the world's problems. Death. Death in the game. There is no permadeath, which sort of adds a pointless point to this game. You could have a medic on your team who can now revive this guy with 25% of his health. I could use a defibrillator, but I'm not going to bother doing that. What I would essentially do is just go into this dungeon as far as I can, so I'm the last man standing. I can outrun zombies, so I would just let them run. Back here. And just run back to the safe house where your guys are waiting for you, and then you'll just come back again. The reason why this works is because with the progression in the game, with leveling, you have a skill tree. So this is my explosives expert. I got very excited when I saw the other multiple tabs, so I thought maybe I could have an explosive expert and a weapon hybrid, so let's buy that. Which you can, but it takes 3 experience points to do that. So on your own tree you've got 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. I guess this is good because it does give the game more longevity, but for me there is a lot of unthought out thoughts on this skill tree. So this is my weapons sergeant. He's using light machine guns, so I've got light machine gun speciality. If I wanted him to use assault rifles, I could go down this side and get the assault rifle, that's good. So we've got the 2 choices there. We can either have low abilities and things, or assault rifles, or ammo, better ammo, and LMG. With an LMG, of course, you're going to want ammo to last longer. When you get here, the assault rifle specialisation is just out there on the left. So if I'd gone assault rifle specialisation and worked my way down here, I'd have to have got this one and then gone back and got an LMG, which I wouldn't be planning to use with this character. So a bit more thought in the trees would have been nice for me, but the amount that there is in the trees and the fact that you can make your hybrids is a good thing. Personally, I would have preferred just to free this up a bit, maybe 2 points. I mean, 1 thing for every 3 levels you're going up. I guess in later game, that's going to be more useful to you. So, in summary, is Breach and Clear worth it? For £10, if you're into this sort of game, it's not for me. Because there's just that extra missing level to this game of the tactics. The levels just don't seem as well thought out. You generally run into an area and you just got 2 bunkers there. Doesn't seem to be a great deal of choice as far as you're approaching the fights you're going. I would like better choice of what I'm using my weapons against. So maybe some sort of zombies that have harder outer skin, and the more bullets you hit, the harder that gets. So the idea with them would be you have to try and use more powerful weapons that are going to use less bullets against them. But you can make up your own mind and enjoy the world.